Hi, Amanda. Hi, Karen. Okay, just let me get my bearings here on flipping these screens around. Hi, Tammy. Okay, hold on. We got one more adjustment to make. There we go. Good evening, everybody. How is everyone? For those of you who are new, my name is Julie Heights, also known as the Chirpy Card Maker of Quilts. And thank you for popping in on tonight's live. I say tonight because we usually do this in the mornings, but for the month of May with my schedule, excuse me, with a birding festival and stuff, I decided to do this at night. So welcome. Hi, Susan. Hi, Lori. Okay, of course, now a tickle comes into my throat when I hit the, go live. So, no, I wasn't out birding today. A friend of mine, we went out, her and I went out yesterday for several hours and had a good day. It started out drizzly, and we could have easily talked each other into saying, well, let's do this another day, but we kept up with it, and by the time we left, the sun was shining, and it was a gorgeous day. So, tonight's card is a patchwork pinwheel. You might have guessed it when I posted what you were going to need for tonight. You probably could have looked at the pattern and figured out half square triangles. Maybe we're going to do a pinwheel. So anyway, I'm going to flip the camera around and we are going to get started, and I will show you the examples of what the finished card is going to look like. So again, now I got to flip things around. So hold on. Oh shoot, I've got to remember what button I got to push here. Okay. You think I would know this by heart, but I don't. Okay, I'm going to move this a little bit closer. Maybe move that. Okay, that looks pretty good. So the product that I am featuring is the Hues of Happiness bundle, but actually I ordered the suite so that I got the paper, the gems, and the stamp set and the dies. So this is the stamp set. You can stamp these and color in your flowers for the colors that you want, and then there are dies that will die cut this flower, these two leaves, this flower, and this flower. So you get 6 dies that will work with this set. But what is so cool is in the 12 by 12 paper, you're going to get a total of 4 sheets, 2 in each of these colorways, and you're going to be able to die cut this flower, this one, this one, this one. I think you can die cut all of these flowers. And then you can die cut this leaf here and this one. But what I found was when I was done die cutting everything, I just fussy cutted these leaves right here. I fussy cutted every all of the flowers that were just partial, and I'll show you how I use them in the card. So you can basically die cut this whole sheet. And I have just a sampling in here of all of the pieces that I've done so far, and I didn't use up all of my paper yet. So that's pretty awesome that you get dies that can give you so many of these beautiful flowers. And then speaking of the paper, let me just show you the other sheets. You have this beautiful paper, and this paper is gorgeous. Here's this one. And these images are really big enough that you could fussy cut a lot of images out of some of these other pieces of designer series paper. And then you have this one. And what I love is that it's variegated into the colors. And then when I'm going to try and do this slow so I don't make you seasick or motion sick if I move too fast. But then here's the back sides. So you have this one. You have this. Aren't these gorgeous? Here's some flowers. Some little stars. And then you get this beautiful rainbow variation here. So that's the paper. You get 2 sheets of each of the 6 designs, and it's double-sided, so you get more bang for your buck there. So that's the paper. And then again, these are the dies here. And then they have these glossy dots. And I found that with this card, what I really am impressed with is the new 2021-23 in color opal rounds. These go really well with that designer series paper. So I like that we can interchange, incorporate something different, not in the line, and it works also. So, and then my new favorite thing is linen thread. I don't know why I waited so long to get this, but I absolutely love it. It's one of my favorites now. And let me show you the cards I did as samples. We'll just put these like that. So what we're doing is we're going to make a little window that will showcase our patchwork. And then here's an example where I die cut a square. Here's a scalloped circle. This is a 2.5 inch circle. And then I did a square and I put it on point for this diamond. And this is out of it's retired, the stitched shapes. But there's a new die set in the new catalog that I think is a spin-off of the stitched shapes, and you can get the squares again in that with circles. And so you just want to make sure that your square or your diamond is not bigger than your patchwork underneath. This barely fit. It just barely fit. But, you just make it work. You can use punches. You can use dies. Just make sure that your window is smaller than your patchwork piece because you want to cover up the patchwork behind it. Okay. Oh, Susan, you've got a scan and cut. I've noticed that. Hi, Sharon. You're okay. Hi, Eileen. I've noticed a few of my crafting friends that I follow, they have the Brother Scan and Cut. Also, I understand nothing about those machines. I don't have a Cricut. I don't have anything like that. But I had been reading where, I don't know how you do it, but you can like basically upload something and it will cut around anything. Sounds pretty nifty to me. Okay, and then, so a few things that I added after posting what you'll need is, this was my original card. And then I just thought this looks a little plain on the side, so I had some scraps. These are just like 1/8 of an inch by whatever this was. It was a scrap. I didn't want it to go the full length anyway, because I wanted to, it's 5 inches. So 1/8 of an inch by 5, and then I just glued them down on the sides after I put the card together. But it was an afterthought for embellishing. So we'll do it tonight as we follow along, but you don't have those pieces in your in the post of what you'll need, because I started getting carried away with embellishing after I did the card, and I started thinking of new things that I wanted to do. So this is what we're going to do tonight. So if you are ready, let's get started. We're going to start out doing our 9 patch. So let me bring in what I'm going to need here. And this time I'm going to go with the, like the Bermuda Bay Coastal Cabana colors. So here we have a 3-inch square that is, we have it divided in half horizontally and vertically, so that you have 4 1.5-inch squares there. So what you needed was 1.5-inch squares that you were going to cut diagonally. Now the one thing that I'm going to show you is to help keep my half square triangles for me lined up. I'm just going to start in one corner, and I am just going to make a big old X, but I'm making sure that I'm going right through all of these squares, so that when I glue down my half square triangles, I'm keeping them where they need to be. Okay, so we just drew a big X through that 4 patch. One other thing I wanted to tell you is, if you cut 4 1.5-inch by 6-inch strips, and then you subcut these into 1.5-inch squares, 4 of these strips will yield 4 patchwork pinwheels. So that's 4 cards that you can get as far as the quilting design out of just 4 strips that are 1.5 by 6. Okay? Make those strips go as far as you can. Okay, so I've got my half square triangles, and what I did was I just cut those squares on the diagonal. And now we're just going to play with, we're going to get a design here that we like. And when I'm laying down the paper, what I'm looking for is whatever's next to the other one has some contrast. And then maybe is there another one behind that? Okay, maybe go like this. There's contrast between the Night and Navy and the white. And then we're just going to repeat that same layout and if you're using all different triangles, then again, just try to concentrate that you've got contrast. Okay, so that's how I'm going to glue it down. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to move these out of the way. And what I like to do is when I'm gluing down my half square triangles instead of just working it around that way, I like to go from whatever, you know, if I'm laying this one down here, I want the opposite one over here. And then I just start filling in. You want to make sure that you don't get too much bulk in the center. So focus on making sure that your points out here in the corners are all the way out to the corner. And then that will help. If you focus all of it right here in the center, then you might find that you run out of room and things aren't fitting in though the way that they should. So I'm just going to lay down some liquid glue. Don't go too heavy. And I'm going to put this point up here in that corner. I'm going to try to keep it straight. And that's the nice thing about liquid glue, is that you have time to move it around. Now, the half square triangle that's across from every one that you put down should be the same design. So here's this floral piece. And don't worry if your paper goes beyond the outside border, if that's what you want to call it, or your outside lines, because we're going to trim this off and you'll trim off anything that's hanging over. And now we'll go right next to it. And next to it, I had this one. Tomorrow starts the birding festival. It goes from the 6th to the 15th. I'm excited. Tomorrow I go out and pick up my swag bag, my volunteer t-shirt, get to hang out and see people from across the United States that I haven't seen since the last festival, and the last 2 years we haven't been able to have one because of the pandemic. So there's going to be a lot of catching up to do with friends that we have not seen in a long time. There is no sign of our pipples yet, but it could be happening in the next week or so if they come back. So that's exciting. That's something that we're all excited to hear the first report of. Chicago, Monty came back to Chicago, to Montrose Beach. I haven't heard if Rose is back. Rose and Monty, you're all going to get a little history here on our piping plovers here in Ohio. Rose and Monty are the parents to our male, whose name is Nish, but they are his parents. And we're hoping that Nellie meets him back at the beach. And we got one more to tuck in here. And then we're going to set this aside just to give that glue some time to dry. But that is our pinwheel. That's our patchwork pinwheel. Once I cut it off of the grid paper, then I will run it through an embossing folder. So those will be the steps that you do. And you will get this. So this is one I've already done. This one will take the place of this one. I just trimmed off the grid paper and then ran it through the flowers embossing folder, my new favorite folder for giving it a quilted look. I love both the debossed side and the embossed side. So we'll set those aside, and then we will go to our card. Let's focus on the window. So this is 3.5 by 5.5, and you don't want to punch out or die cut your image too close to the top. So what you'll want to do is take your patchwork, just lay it down, and then put that underneath there. And what you're looking to do is you want even pieces of pie to show through. I wouldn't want it way down here to where this is I got little pieces of pie and big pieces of pie. So you just want to center it. And when you do that, you'll get an idea for how far you want to come down to make your window. Okay. So again, this is 3.5 by 5.5. If you're using a die, you're going to want to cut your window out first and then do your embossing. If you are using a punch, it doesn't really matter. You can emboss this panel and then just reach in and punch. But if you're using a die, because of the rollers, if you were to do the embossing first and then cut out your shape, when you run it through the rollers, you are going to lose some, maybe even a lot of your detail of what you just embossed. So just be defeating the purpose. So what I like to do is to find my center. I don't know if, yeah, you can see it in the thing. I like to use my Stampin' Up! Grid paper because it has this nice heavy black line through it. And I put this on the hash behind the 6 and the little hash after the 10. And that's my center. What that is that's 4 1/4 in half. And then I'm going to put a ruler right up against this dark line. And with a pencil, I'm going to draw a line down. And the reason why I've done that is if you want to make sure you're straight, choose one of your straight lines here. And you're just going to put that line and just make sure that it comes out the other end on that line. So see, here I know I'm straight because my lines, now it may not look straight, but my lines are following each other. And then what I'll do is I'll bring in my window, keeping that straight. I'll bring in my window. I'm just going to see if my pieces of pie look somewhat even. Here I think I need to go up just a little bit. I'm going to have to hold it like this so that I can see it. And then if I'm happy with where it's at, I'm just going to hold it down. I got off center there a little bit. And then I'm going to take my pencil and I'm going to draw a line across the top like that. That way I know that when I glue this down, I want it right up there where that line is, and I want to keep my lines straight in my patchwork. So let's go ahead and glue this down. Okay, so I'm going to put it right up there at that line. And then I'm going to follow the straight line of my patchwork and then just glue it down. And now when I bring in my window, again, I'm just right at this point, I'm just looking at it again. Doesn't have to be perfect. Kind of looking at my sides here to have an even amount of the card base showing through. I don't want to glue this down yet because I want to take the linen thread and I am going to wrap some linen thread down here at the bottom. You could use ribbon if you wanted, but this is just going to be behind my sentiment. So I want to give myself enough of a tail I can try to tie a bow. I have the hardest time tying bows, but I'm going to wrap this once, twice, and then leave myself enough of a tail so I can tie a bow. And I'm going to keep my bow off to the side. I'm actually going to wrap this through here to help. And I found that if you tie a bow upside down, then it hangs straight. The tails will hang straight down. So I'm just going to flip this around. And I am all thumbs when it comes to making a bow. I'm just going to tie a knot first and hold it. And then just kind of move. Make sure it's straight. And now we'll go for the rest of the bow. Oh, and the linen thread just made a liar out of me. Well, it is hanging down. It is hanging down. So now we'll just play with the tails a little bit. And we'll fuss with that a little bit later once we get our sentiment on there and we know how big we want our loops to be. We just wanted to get that done before we glue it down. And before I do that, let's just go ahead and do our inside of our card and put our backing on. I am going to punch out the scallop circle that I glue my my little button that has my name on it. I'm just going to go ahead and punch that out because we're not going to see. Oh, let's erase this line. Because we don't want that showing on the back. Okay, so let's glue our backing down. You go and do all the preps so that you're organized when you go live, and I started my card backwards. Center that and put it down. That's the backing to our quote card. And then we'll glue down the inside. That's my bird clock. And that is an eastern screech owl calling. Every hour on the hour, I get a different bird. Okay, so there's our inside. Remember when I mentioned that I like to fussy cut the the outside edges of the paper and have these that have us, you know, this is on the outside edge. It's only a partial flower, but I go ahead and I fussy cut those out because what I'm going to do is I am going to use this one and I am going to glue this down into the corner to decorate the inside of my card. So those outside edges, those pieces are not wasted. So here's just a little inside design to the card that could have gone in any corner, as long as you got room for the leaves. And what I did was I used a glue dot and I put this leaf tucked in behind that flower. Okay, so there we've got that. This is the little button I was telling you about that has Just For You, created by Jay Heights. And so I'm just going to glue that to my little scalloped circle here. And then I'm going to glue that onto the back. I like to put a quilt backing on my cards because with quilt cards we use very little designer series paper, and I want to use it up. So if I can cover a nice big area, then I'm using up my paper. Okay, so back to the front. Now we can glue this down. And you are just going to want to, again, make sure that you've got even sides of your card base showing and that you're straight there. And then just push it down. And if you're off a little bit, your patchwork you'd really have to be off for it to be really noticeable. And plus, I'm going to finish off the center of my patchwork with a flower. So it's, you know, if this isn't perfect, and it's not, this is not perfect, but that's okay because we can work around that. So there's that. And then what I did was, this is die cut one of the flowers and two of the leaves. And I put dimensionals on the back. That's going to go in the center. And I want to put it so that I like my leaves coming off outside of this edge. So we'll just take all these backings off. And we're just going to put that in the center and push down. So there's our flower. You can put anything in the center that you want. It might just be an embellishment that you want to put there. Now, this is one of the sentiments from the stamp set. And I love the font. I love that it mixes a cursive with a print. I love that. And this shape here is from the Color and Contour dies. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put this kind of off to the side there. And my linen thread's going to be behind it. I'm going to pop this up. So I'm just going to turn it over, and I'm going to use some mini dimensionals. And I'm not going to put any through the center because I wanted this to pop it up, and the linen thread's going to be running right down the center. Okay, so let's take these off. And let's just look at that right. Tuck it underneath the bow a little bit. And before I push that down, I just want to make sure I like it, that it's straight. Now I'll push it down. Now I can fuss with my bow and see how big I want my loops. And then we'll cut off the tails here. So we've got our bow, we've got our sentiment. Everything I do from this point, I'm just embellishing. And this was an idea after the fact. But what I'll do is I'll just put some glue. There was no need, I mean, I know I want to use up my paper, but I don't want to hide this big of a piece of Designer Series paper and just cover it up. So by just cutting a few slivers and then adding it, it gives you the appearance that there's a big piece of Designer Series paper under all of this, but really there's not. So I'm going to flip that over and take my little, I got this little bottle from a lady who, she sells jewelry findings online, and I had gotten this from her a long time ago, and it really just gives you a tiny amount of glue. And this reservoir, or this little bottle, holds almost 2 of the Tombow bottles there in that one. And then I'm just eyeballing this. Then with my thumb, I'm just gonna run it right down along that embossed piece and just add that. Just makes it look like we've got an extra layer. Picking up this little piece can be a little tricky. Oh, that looks about right. And then just lay it right down, right along the edge there. Whoops. There we go. There, and there's the illusion that you've got another piece of Designer Series paper laying behind that. And I didn't go all the way to the edges, because that would have, it just would have kept the card really long, and you can do that, but I wanted it to look like I had different shaped layers going here. So it doesn't go the whole length of the card. It's a little short. Now, what I wanted to do when I was looking at my design, this was an afterthought also, was just tucking in a leaf to look like it's coming from behind. Just to fill up some space. So there's that little leaf there. And then the only thing left is some bling. And I was going to bring in the Fresh Freesia opals. Looking at what color seems to be dominating here, the glossy dots, none of that. I don't see anything jumping out at me on that. So I'm just going to go ahead with the Fresh Freesia. And we'll put some of these opals. Let's maybe put one right there. And one right there. And I want to go in threes, so maybe we'll just put another small one right up there in that corner. And the card is done. So you have your Patchwork pinwheel. I want to give a shout out to Doris. Doris, are you on here? There she is. She's here. Doris had sent me, she had found that she had sent me this design, really, where you're putting your patchwork behind like an opening, and she sent it to me so that I could add it to like my little library or catalog of ideas, and I loved it, and I thought, you know what, that's gonna be what we're gonna do for the live. So thank you, Doris. You probably didn't think it was gonna show up so soon, but it was perfect for showcasing this this suite that's in the new catalog. So it lent itself perfect for me being able to showcase all the products that are in that suite, or if you just want to get the bundle, which would be the stamp set and the dies. But there's the card. And then there's our inside with our little flower and our back. And then I'll just bring in the other ones in case you're just hopping on and you didn't see. These are all my scalloped circle windows. And again, this was my oh, what do you call it? Your prototype. This does not have the little borders, and you can really see the difference that just adding those little slim borders, the difference that it makes to the look of the card. And what I love about this designer series paper, it uses a lot of bright colors. And then here's the square. And then this one here is the square that I did when I die cut it. I put it on point. And actually my patchwork underneath is still the square going like this. But I die cut the diamond and then lined it up. So there's my take on the Hues of Happiness suite in the new catalog. I've been watching and following a lot of other demonstrators to see what their ideas have been on how are they going to showcase the new product. And this is my spin on it. This is my quilting spin on this set. So I hope you like it. I hope that you will give it a try and that you will post your pictures over in the group so that we can all admire your work. So Doris likes the diamond, and Patricia likes the square. Hi, Marilyn. Good. So I'm glad everybody's finding one that they like. This one here has the glossy dots. That's part of the suite. So this one does have the glossy dots. This card and this card, these embellishments are new, and they are called rustic metallic dots. I love these. Those are what I used on those cards. I love collecting embellishments. Embellishments and paper seem to be what the first things I look at in a catalog is. I want to know what the embellishments are, and I'm really not a fan of embellishments that stick up too high, only because when you try to mail the card, I always stick in a piece of cardstock that's going to protect those like dots when they run them through the machines at the post office so that it doesn't poke through the envelope. But I really love the flatter embellishments. These stick up a little bit, but the glossy dots are nice and flat. These in colors are not too, they're really not that bad, but the flatter they are, the more I love them. So it just keeps down the bulk when you go to mail them. So, well, thank you, Lori. The circles are your favorite. Okay, I like the circles too. Hi, Tony. Oh, good. I can't wait to see what your spin on this design is, how you're going to embellish, what kind of shape. You know, I got out my heart punches, but the punch, how you put it in, the heart would be upside down. Now, here's an idea, and this takes me back to the picture that Doris had sent in an email. If your panel was going just this way, then I could use a punch and my window could have been a heart. But it wasn't going to work going long portrait mode. So if you're going to use a punch that's like a heart shape, or oh, I even got the ladybug shape out because I thought I would punch the body of the ladybug. And so the ladybug's body would be patchwork, and then the wings I could add, you know, somehow. But that's only going to work if I put my layer going horizontally. That way you can get the punch in there and have your image going in the right direction. So that might have just given you some ideas, and I hope that it triggered something and you're going to try something different, and that you'll share that with the rest of us. That's all I've got, everybody. So, you know, I'm looking at these cards on the computer and I'm really liking them. I think they just, you know what the flowers remind me of? I'm sure you guys have all seen the movie Fried Green Tomatoes. It is one of my all-time favorite movies. But remember when she would cut out the paper flowers and she put them on the wall in the nursing home that she was in? And then I remember when, oh, I can't remember the actress's name, who wanted to move her in with her and her husband, but when she came in the room and the like the nurse's aide was taking the paper flowers off the wall, and she had thought she had passed away. But doesn't these flowers remind me of her paper flowers that were on the wall in the movie Fried Green Tomatoes? If you've seen the movie and that just reminded you of that also, throw a heart up there, because otherwise I'm going to think I'm just talking about a movie that nobody has seen, but it's a classic. I could watch it over and over again. So I'm going to let everybody... Yeah, Sharon knows the movie. Yeah, there's some hearts. It's going to make me want to go back and watch that movie again. And the characters' names are on the tip of my tongue, but I cannot think of them right now. Okay, have a good evening, everybody, and I hope to see your cards over in the group Quilt Cards and More. Have a blessed evening, or the blessed rest of your day if you are out east, where you still have quite a few hours left in the day. So I'll see. Now, I will not be doing a live next week. That is like full swing into the birding festival. So, and with my volunteer duties that day, it would really be pushing it. So I am going to take next week off. But I will be back live on the 19th. But you know me, I am sharing things with you on the Facebook page and in the group. I'm going to be around. I'm just not going to be ready to do a live. So, but I will be lurking. I will be waiting to see what everybody's doing and sharing some ideas. So I'll talk to everybody later.